I'm of the belief that games can be one of two types of difficult. Let's call them good and bad difficulties. In the good difficult games category, you lose, a lot. But every time you fail, you learn a little piece about how the game works, a little lesson if you will. When you approach that same situation the next time, or perhaps even the time after, you proceed in a different way and accomplish the task. Good difficult games are littered with these situations. My favorites of this type of game are the old 8-bit Double Dragon 2 and the Demon's Souls game on the PS3. Both these games required you play the same thing repeatedly, but you learned how to approach the situations to be poised for success. In bad difficult games, the gameplay mechanics are often less predictable, leading the player to fail, but leaving them nothing to be learned to succeed in subsequent tries. Samurai vs. Zombies Defense, SVZ, is a game that's a little of both, but it's definitely one of the more difficult games you'll find for Android. Developed by Glue Mobile, Samurai vs. Zombies is both a platform and a tower defense type game. You play as a samurai that is guarding a sacred gate that is being assaulted by zombies. To aid in your defense, you have various special skills, as well as the ability to summon various troops. Throughout each of the 50 waves of zombies, various items and coins are dropped so you can upgrade your weapons and troops. You're also able to pick up pachinko balls to play a small minigame between waves that can reward you with additional coins or items. The minigame does feel a little tacked on, and I never yielded much that was of significant value, but it was a fun distraction from within the game. The gameplay is unfortunately a little hit and miss. You control the samurai by either moving forward or backwards, but attacking happens automatically. While you do control the special abilities and the calling of allies, both your bow and sword are out of your control. This is where SVZ falls a little into the bad kind of difficult. Due to not being able to time your attacks or use your bow exactly when you want to, a little of the skill factor is removed from the game. This means the player may know exactly what to do, but because you have to rely on the game's somewhat random behavior, you may lose anyways. The enemies for each wave, however, are the same each time, meaning you can plan out how to activate your allies in order to proceed in your defense. In this way, SVZ is a little more of the good difficult type of game. If you haven't caught on that this experience was conflicting for me, it was. Good or bad, I have one thing to say about SVZ. It's difficult. Being a freemium game, there are multiple upgrades that require an in-app purchase currency. Certain units require the paid currency to upgrade at all, and as for the ones that don't require that currency in the beginning, they will by the 5th or 6th upgrade. This puts the freeloader players at a huge disadvantage, which I can't say I'm particularly on board with. My stance with freemium games is that the base price of any app is the intended experience that the developers wanted to give. With SVZ, that base intended experience is damn near impossible, and this is coming from someone that's well steeped in video games. While I understand the mechanic of offering paid content as a way to shortcut the time necessary to collect coins to pay for upgrades, Glue Mobile has simply capped certain upgrades so freeloading players can never excel further without paying. This is not an ideal implementation of a freemium model. The graphics for SVZ are top-notch for any Android game. Glue Mobile took care in their presentation of this epic defense, and it shows in the intricate animation and three-dimensional graphics. SVZ is a little bit violent in their design, which is what you'd expect when you alchemically synthesize a game consisting of samurai and zombies. One of the special moves that the samurai has actually decapitates the zombies, resulting in a gush of blood and a juicy splash on the ground. In addition to the samurai, there are several different types of allies to summon, from small farmers to bowmen and even healers, all of which have different intricate graphic models. The zombies, however, do have a little repetition in their presentation, especially early in the game when you're mostly just recolors of the same character model. However, later in the game, new enemies are introduced that are not even zombies at all. The sound effect and music, similar to the graphics, are above and beyond the modern benchmark for Android games. From smaller choices, like the drum sound effects when selecting various elements, to the panpipe-laden musical tracks, SVZ is an auditorially well-defined game. Some of the more prevalent sound effects are also noteworthy. For instance, the sound of blood hitting the floor when dismembering several zombies at once is a very memorable experience. Glue Mobile has put a commendable amount of polish on both graphics and sound effects of SVZ to make it a pretty solid game. SVZ is a pretty decent experience. It can be frustrating after about level 20 when acquiring coins in-game becomes difficult and you begin to hit the paywall for upgrades. I would imagine that many players, possibly even players that spend a nominal amount of cash, won't ever finish this game. The gameplay is so-so overall, mostly due to the auto attacks, but the sound and graphics are way ahead of the market for Android games. I recommend Samurai vs. Zombies to only those people up for a difficult game that will require plenty of time, and possibly money, to actually complete. Pixelfreak.com is giving Samurai vs. Zombies Defense 84 pixels out of 100.